Hey there, I'm estate planning attorney Paul Rabalais, and in this video, I want to talk about a sequel to a very long 55-minute video I made well over a year ago about how to protect your estate from nursing home expenses. All right, so that video that I did about a year and a half ago had more than 430,000 YouTube views. The problem with that one, it was 55 minutes long. And so many of you watching this video, you don't have 55 minutes. So let's get right to it. I want to give you the shorter and updated version in 3 quick parts. So what this is all about is what's the deal with protecting your money, your house, your land, your savings, your investments, in case you go into a nursing home. Nursing homes these days, depends on where you are, but it could cost anywhere from $6,000 to $16,000 a month to reside in a nursing home. Just think if you're married and both spouses are in a nursing home and you double that expense, the entire life savings could be squandered in a matter of months or a few short years, and leaving you and your survivors really with nothing. So a big field out there is what can you do to protect what you have in case you need to go into a nursing home. And people in nursing homes, some of them are private pay, just paying that expense every month. Some of those people qualify for Medicaid, not Medicare, but Medicaid, that pays for certain people's nursing home care if they meet the qualification standards for Medicaid. So let's jump in. Part one, the update that I want to make, things that are a little different than they were a couple of years ago, is these days fewer and fewer people actually find living in a nursing home acceptable. Nursing homes get a bad rap, and perhaps a lot of that bad rap is justifiable. I know it's likely in the comments we'll hear some stories about parents and aunts and uncles who are in a nursing home and the kind of the care that they received. So some of that bad rap is earned. So the idea behind nursing homes, what everybody says is you better have somebody there every day holding the staff accountable, or the service you're going to get and the care you're going to get is going to be terrible. Now I realize there are nursing homes, I'm sure that some of those staff are heroes. They treat those nursing home residents like their family, but then I'm sure there's other nursing homes where the staff really could kind of care less. They're just kind of in there collecting their paycheck. So tough set of circumstances. Also, people don't like going to nursing homes because people quite frankly pass away in nursing homes. Some people pass away before they're supposed to pass away. We saw it with COVID. I saw it recently with Hurricane Ida. We had a big nursing home problem with the care that people needed to be moved out of nursing homes because of the incoming hurricane. And you just see you hear stories about people passing away because the care in the nursing home was not up to the standards it should have been. So in general, people don't want to live in nursing homes. So why in the world would someone want to engage in sometimes complicated legal strategy planning to maneuver their estate so they could qualify for Medicaid if they go to a nursing home? Well, they want to do that because they saw a family member lose everything that they had because they had a nursing home stay. Maybe because a person realizes they're not getting any younger, they have certain ailments, and they have nowhere else they could go if they needed that round-the-clock full-time care. So there's a lot of people out there who they would prefer not to live in a nursing home, but nonetheless, they realize it may be a reality, so they do want to protect their life savings, protect their home, protect the value from being lost due to a stay in a nursing home. So that's part one, the idea there. Most people don't really want to go to a nursing home, but it's a fact of life for some, so some people want to protect what they have in case that's the case. Part two, the whole moral of the story behind part two is you need to plan ahead. You need to start early. Waiting until the last minute is not the right thing for trying to protect what you have from those expensive nursing home expenses. You need to start early. You need to discover your options. In general, the rules are pretty clear. Try to maneuver things around at the last minute, not much you can do. You're on the doorstep of the nursing home, not much you can do. If you start planning years ahead, before there's any kind of nursing home situation, you can protect it all as long as you follow the rules. So the general rule, better get assets out of your name at least 5 years before you enter a nursing home. A lot of people have said, Paul, I heard it was 7 years. Paul, I heard they were changing it to 10 years. But no, it's 5 years. And when it becomes a different time period, I'll let you know. But in general, you need to get assets out of your name at least 5 years before you enter a nursing home. Why do you need to do that? Because that's the rule. When someone enters a nursing home, the Medicaid people will say, have you transferred anything out of your name in the last 5 years? And if you answer yes to that question, you're not going to be eligible for Medicaid. It's not that the nursing home is going to go seize your bank accounts. It's not that they're going to go take your land. But what they will tell you, if you have made any transfers of assets in the 5 years prior to entering a nursing home and qualifying for Medicaid, they'll just tell you, fine, if you want to stay here, we need a check every month for $8,000, $12,000, whatever it is. So a lot of people think the nursing home's going to come grab all of the assets and seize all of the assets. They're not going to do that. They're just going to say, if you're going to stay here, you got to pay for it. We need a big check every month. But the general rule, and who knows what that 5-year time period is, you might be 70 years old, 75 years old, 80 years old, and it may be too early, or you may have a lot of time. But a lot of people start this engaging in the Medicaid planning process typically when they're about 70. All right, so the idea is you better get assets out of your name at least 5 years before you enter a nursing home. Part 3 involves the getting the assets out of your name. For many, it's not too comforting to just put their assets in their kids' names. You know, if you're 75, your kids are probably 50, and putting your assets in your kids' names, you're losing control. So people don't like that. People don't like to lose control over what they have. An alternative, which enables people to keep more control, is instead of putting those assets into your children's names where those assets could be spent, those assets could be lost to a lawsuit, although we don't see that much, but you see it some. Those assets could be lost if a child gets divorced, if a child dies before the parent. You know, there's a lot of bad stuff that can happen when you just take assets that are yours, whether it's a home, real estate, stock, investments, and just put them into your children's names. Bad things can happen. So the alternative, where you can keep more control over what you have, is put them into a trust name. And not just any trust. Probably the most common type of trust out there is the old avoid probate revocable living trust. That doesn't give you any kind of protection of those assets from Medicaid. It has to be into a very particular type of irrevocable trust that if you want to undo in the future, you'll likely need the cooperation of at least one or more of your heirs to undo that irrevocable trust if you want to undo it for some reason. So there is some element of loss of control, big element of loss of control if you put assets in your kids' names, and still a loss of control by putting assets into a trust for the benefit of your children, and that trust is irrevocable under our Medicaid eligibility rules. And note that if you are in a state where they penalize you for having an IRA, it's harder to get IRA assets out of your name because you can't just transfer an IRA to a child. You can't just transfer an IRA to a trust without first taking the money, taking the distribution out of the IRA and paying all of the income tax, which nobody wants to do. I don't blame them. And then transferring those after-tax proceeds to children or to a trust. So makes it even tougher to protect what you have is if you're penalized for owning an IRA. Getting that IRA out of your name is tough because of the income tax consequences. So for some, protecting the bulk of what you have is good enough. Maybe someone has a total net worth of $400,000. They'd love to be able to pass that along to their 2 children one day when they pass away. So maybe it's pretty simple for them to protect maybe $340,000 of that $400,000. they're just retitling assets that they don't plan to consume anyway. So why not retitle them in a way where they don't have to be consumed or sold and consumed if there's a nursing home situation down the line? So bottom line is, while nursing homes have their purpose, it's better to have a plan B. But if you don't want to be the subject of that double whammy of, one, having to live in a nursing home, and two, losing everything you've worked so hard to plan ahead, then early in the process, maybe when you're 70, maybe when you're 65, maybe when you're 60, maybe when you're 75, but while you're still healthy, while you still have the ability to live independently, that's the time where you at least need to get yourself educated, get yourself informed, make educated decisions, make it now. Don't procrastinate, don't put it off, because if you wait too long, you're going to be stuck and you may wind up losing everything because you didn't act timely. Get the information, stay in tune with this channel, a lot of information here. Make sure you like, comment, love to see you share some of your own life and family experiences in the comments below that others can benefit from, as we move on down the road. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. We'll see you next time.